Hey, what's going on? I'm back. It's been about 5 days. I haven't posted a video, and I don't know. I have a lot on my mind. I wanted to talk about a lot, and this my video might sound like a rant or a tangent or a mumble, jumble, whatever. If you could decipher it and you want to sit around and listen to it, maybe you're sitting at work and you just want something to listen to. That's fine. That's cool. I'm just gonna give you my perspective on some things I was going to cover earlier in the week that I just didn't feel like I wanted to. Then I decided, no. And yeah, I mean, I tug and ward with this. My PCs have been broken. It's all my own fault for not keeping up with taking care of a couple things. You know, I mean, I can't predict. When you have a PC, you can't predict when you're gonna get like corruption in your hard drive because you pay for software from XSplit and then it corrupts your hard drive. You can't predict that. And then you have a backup PC and then that PC breaks and then what are you gonna do? It just happens. So shit happens. You just have to deal with it and it is what it is. So I haven't posted a video in 5 days and that's the reason why. Now in those 5 days, I don't really have the urge. I haven't even though I haven't posted a game or a video in 5 days, I still haven't played my Xbox in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. I don't feel the urge to play the game. It's not exciting to me anymore. It doesn't grab me like it used to. And as a Call of Duty fan, I want to be fair and just in this video. So I'm not I'm not out here to make a hate mongering video. I used to be mad and make videos like, oh fuck this and fuck that and blah 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 blah, and ah, it's just even making this video, I feel like it's a waste of time, and it's sometimes a lot of these videos on YouTube go over people's heads, and they're never gonna get it anyway. Even if Jesus Christ came down himself to try to explain it to you, I'd literally have to sit down with every one of you in person to have a discussion to get my point across. Sometimes that's just the way it is. And it's really hard to do. I mean, people are just, like I said, if they believe in Jesus Christ, there's just no way that you're going to be able to change their philosophy of thinking no matter what, because that's the way they were brought up. So, um, and I don't got nothing against any religion. I was just making that as a point as to what I'm about to talk to you about. Now, as you all know, you guys watch my channels because I talk about Call of Duty. I've been there since day one, and I wanted to give you my perspective, about this MLG event. I want to talk about the event itself, where it's leading up to, where it's going, what Activision's like, how I'm feeling about it as, a majority, maybe a bigger, broader base Call of Duty fan, what I think about it and how I think it'll affect it down the road. And if you guys want to sit around and listen to that, that's fine. You can sit here and watch this video. So I was watching since League's season 3. Watched all these teams, and if you get into the first 8 teams that make it in the top 8, and you're in America, then you go to this Call of Duty XP championship, whatever. Call of Duty championship, you get a chance to win $400,000, split it amongst 4 people. It's $1 million total. Blah blah blah. Through 32 teams, whatever. You get, the pay scale goes up and down, so on and so forth in California, and 8 were coming from Europe, 8 coming from England, 8 coming from Australia, and 8 coming from MLG in the United States. So they had the prelims and MLG to be seeded in this event. And surprisingly enough, I want to talk about the event itself. Um, Now, I think that the event, I watched, and now believe me, I wanted to be fair and just about this. So I watched every single event from leagues to prelims to every single event online, except for maybe a few when I went out and did something on the weekend. But I got back and I watched them. And, I want to talk about the event itself. Out of all the events that I've actually watched in the past, being a fan of Call of Duty and just If you're a real true Call of Duty fan, you can appreciate that stuff. Even though you hate snipers, you appreciate everything in a game of Call of Duty because that's you're a true fan. You can't really hate on something and be a Call of Duty fan. You can't hate on something if you're not a fan of that. So I watched the MLG event from top to bottom with an open, realistic um, attitude towards it. I wanted to be open about it. I wanted to be real and just about this whole thing, the whole event. And when it got to the MLG event, the highest it got up to was 30,000 views. Now, some people say, oh, it did better than StarCraft or whatever was there. But you got to realize that, it wasn't Riot that was holding the event, and it wasn't Activision holding the event. When these two people in their own respective names hold their own event, then that's their numbers. You got to specifically understand this is cocooned into an MLG event, and these things are based on their events, not the uh, publisher's events. So in that respect, I think that they did pretty good numbers. I appreciate it. And I could attribute this to some good things in the community, in the Call of Duty community. There are some good people that do good things for the Call of Duty community as far as like, having channels that promote these type of views to get to these views. Like you have Scumpy and Nadeshot and Fear Moho. Those are like three out of the total population who actually contribute a fan base to watch their Justin, the event on MLG. That's a good thing, and there should be more MLG players that should do that. And I'm going to get back to that and what that means for the rest of the game itself, and maybe you know, a clash, not even a clash, but a more of a change, and if it's possible. I don't know if it is, but based on history, I don't think it is. I'm not gonna say specifically 100%, but I don't think it is. The event itself is like there's a lot of great teams. I think the only one team that I think has a chance of improving at Call of Duty XP is VVV. I think that team is the only team I think that has a chance of beating Farico. You know, the thing about Farico when I watched that whole thing is Parasite Farico. You under the the one great thing about how he plays, and this is coming from a Call of Duty fan. You see these things is that he understands spawns, and he understands flow. He understands routes, flow, and spawns. And when you spread out and open yourself up from the anchor position, this is how you win $1 million. And I think that VVV, they're very fast learners, and I think their team was still gelling, still improving. I think a lot of other teams out there probably need to make some roster changes. I mean, there's definitely. Here's the thing, when you are young and you're on a team and teammates hold you to these guilt trips, you have names that like Optic and Fear. Once you reach a peak, you have a brand that you have to protect, and really, you know, if you really feel bad about getting rid of players on that team, then you should do what Icons does and have Icon Blue and Icon Black. You should have like a Fear Red, Fear Black, Optic Green, Optic White, and then take the best players from those two teams, and then that way nobody will be mad. Whereas, if you only have one team and that's who we are and you're going to stick with that, then not only is your team going to die, but your brand is going to die. And the thing about it is like, you have these young kids when they get hyped up. I gotta take for example like, you have like broadcasters hyping up John on the Fear team. You know, I mean, the kid's 16. He's gonna let that shit get to his head. So, and he's probably not gonna be happy because they're not winning. They're not in. I don't. To me, it's like sometimes you got to protect the name and you got to make a change. You got to be like, yo, let's start Fear White, throw John in there, add some other dope ass players, Clayster, whatever, Snoogie Joogie, whatever those dudes' name. There's fucking plenty of them. Complex, Sungjai, or whatever. I don't know how to say his name. There's some dope ass Tipsy. I mean, there's some good players that are solo on a bunch of other teams that you can bring on to your other team when you already got a brand name, and you built that on your YouTube channel, and you need to keep that going. So you guys got to get over the pride thing. There's a couple teams that just they're already peaked out. There's nothing they could do. It's almost like Phil Hellmuth. They know how you play poker. There's no mystery as to how you play, how good you play. It doesn't matter how much you practice because I mean, if you look at it that way, look at Clayster. He come out of Modern Warfare 2. He hasn't played in the tournament. He come all the way. His team Unite came all the way to second place. He did it with like three little 15-year-olds. I mean, that just goes to show you that you either got it or you don't got it, and that's the bottom line. So you have to like move on. That's myself looking outside from the end. People might, those guys might want to get mad at me. That's fine, whatever. I mean, I'm being realistic about it. Like I said, I'm gonna be fair and just in this video. I'm not here to hate on nobody. I'm just like stating what I see, and give people constructive criticism. I mean, I really enjoyed the event. To be honest with you, I enjoyed it. I like the way I like the whole thing about it. But um, and the flip side to this whole thing is this is how I'm feeling from the outside looking in. I went to the biggest event of all Call of Duty events. I went to Call of Duty XP, so I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be there. I know the atmosphere, and I think the people there know what the atmosphere is. But those amount of people in that one little group are not going to keep the game going. They're not going to be the people 30,000 on the stream, and the players who play it are not going to be able to buy the next Call of Duty and keep it a viable franchise. It's not like Activision isn't going to spend money on a game and then only have X amount of people buy it. So here's the thing: what I'm starting to see, um, you have uh, you have like a crossroads happening right here. Activision is trying to change the game to the way this group of players play it, and then add their little 2 cents in with the streaks and everything, and trying to convince the pro players to add streaks into it and like have this hybrid game come out. The same thing tried it had happened with Halo. Halo came on the scene. It was big, huge videos on YouTube. Same thing, commentators, the whole 9 yards, and then it went strictly this pro event, and then everybody, went on to watch pro players and supported that, and then it just died, because you took away the whole social scene from it, which is the majority part of the scene, which is the foundation which pays the bills. Now there's only what 5,000 maybe online playing Halo. It was canceled from MLG. It was canceled. Period. I mean, there was no money for it, and it's a true shooter. It's not even an arcade like the Call of Duty franchise is. So you have to look at yourself with the perspective as okay, Activision is going for this change, and this change is, I mean, as a Call of Duty fan, I'm being real and just about it. I understand what they're trying to do, but you know, I think that they don't understand gaming history, and they're taking the same path in the development and in the direction that Halo went into, and I don't think it's going, I don't think it's gonna make it when you have this type of you got 4v4 uh, certain set of rules, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to take that particular style of pro gameplay and the way the maps are built and the way, you're building the maps essentially for 4v4 gameplay. And then when you keep doing that, and you're throwing a lot of that influence heavily into the game, it's starting to change into that, then you're going to have your people who pay the bills, they're going to disappear. So you have to understand that, um, you know, eh, I understand nothing lasts forever, but I'm just giving my perspective on the whole thing. You know, uh, you can't, you just can't abandon the people that are paying the bills. It's already been proven. Like, it killed Halo. You had the social scene is the biggest scene. You have to, if you want this, if pro gamers want to keep this thing going, then all the pro players have to come together as a union, and they're going to have to get on YouTube, and they're going to have to work just as hard as Stumpy, Nadeshot, and Moho. They have to, because if they don't, then it's just going to die out, and you're going to have, like, there's going to be no social attachment to that, and you're just going to have a small group of players, and it's not going to make it. And it's going to die. And I hate to see a good game die. They're not taking any chances with any new engines, trying to be innovative, trying to do not even a spin-off game. I mean, if you want to do, if you wanted to be happy about this, see how successful Call of Duty would be if you spun off a Call of Duty Pro version of the game and sold it separately, and then you had just a regular pub game, public casual player style game. I mean, that's the same thing I said about snipers. They keep putting influences in the game that people do not want, the majority don't want, and you keep alienating the dollars away from your game. I mean, you keep putting in sniper, DSR to the ankles. You're putting in parts in this game that would not survive on its own. You cannot have stuff in the game that's not going to survive on its own. I mean, if you took Call of Duty and put pro game rules only, how many people do you think would buy that game? Not that many. How many people do you think would buy the game if it was completely like the DSR scope laser sight? If it was just snipers running around? It's not. I mean, these assets are inside of the casual Call of Duty. It's an arcade shooter. And the thing about it is if you want to keep this particular franchise alive, you can't ignore the biggest portion of your community by, strictly having events for pro players, strictly putting in sniper gameplay. I mean, sooner or later, these people in the middle that are the biggest portion of your game are going to get disenfranchised. They're not going to buy your game anymore. I mean, literally, it's coming to that point now. I would rather you'd have taken the $1 million and threw $1 million social event, to have 9v9 in team deathmatch, 9v9 in domination, 9v9 in hardpoint. The game types in MLG Pro are terrible. There should only be hardpoint, demolition, and domination. There shouldn't be search and destroy, and capture flag is the most boring. As capture flag is the worst. I can't stand watching it. It's disgusting, and nobody plays it. I mean, you take the worst gameplays and you put them into that pool, and you look at league play, and there's what 3,000 or 4,000 people, and you wonder why nobody watches this shit. I mean, basically the reason why people tuned into this event was because of Optic Nadeshot and Scumpy and maybe Fee or Moho, creating YouTube channels of audiences that follow them on a social stratosphere. There's no other reason why that was such a big event other than the fact that maybe they wanted to see Optic fail. That's their whole thing. Well, the drama of seeing them lose because there's so many haters. I mean, I'm just being real about it. You know what I mean? So the point being is, I mean, you should take the $1 million and have a social event as well. I mean, if you took 9v9 ground war domination and the winning team won, all new Xboxes and Call of Duties and then the losing team gets a $100 gift card. They would be happy with that. Just the people just to show up and have those events. And you know what? You can have satellite gameplays like in poker where you have satellite tournaments, and you could give away multiple Xboxes, multiple PS4s, multiple gift cards, multiple Dr. Pepper for a year cards, instead of giving like 5 or 6 people a $400,000. I mean, you could definitely reach out in a different way. And I think that's what you should do. I mean, these other events are fine and dandy, but the way I see it now, it is taking the same pattern, and it's surprising to me that MLG, the entity that's trying to survive off of Call of Duty and League of Legends, you think after failing with this Halo model that they wouldn't make the same mistake with Call of Duty, but it's just going down the same path. So it is what it is, and although I really enjoyed that, I just think it's not really going to work unless you include a bigger portion of the audience in some other event. You have to do something for them. Either you're going to have to fix the connections, or you're going to have to throw in an event to make them happy as well. And to hold a pro event and give away this much money to these guys just pisses everybody else off, and really they don't want to play your game anymore. I mean, to the point where we don't really care about these events. It's an arcade shooter. There's no way that this game is by any means a professional game. For God's sakes, the reticle is in the center of the screen. That means if you're standing, your gun is standing where your head is, and you can go behind objects, and your just head sticking out. The gun's not even sticking out. What's that's it's a poorly designed game with that. If you're gonna make it a pro game and they're going towards e-gaming, they should take a chance on making a different engine and a spin-off for pro gaming, the pro edition of Call of Duty. So, anyway, that's it for my rant. Um, I think there's a lot of good teams out there. I actually enjoy it, even though there are funny rules and stuff. Like I said, I mean, if you have a name out there and you got teams, and if you don't want to hurt people's feelings, start another team like, you know, Deer Purple. Get a different set of group guys. Start harvesting and growing. You reap what you sow. If you ain't sowing nothing new, don't cry about your team or your name when it just falls off, or people hating on you saying you've been has-beens. You got to do something about it. It's obviously they know how you play, and it is what it is. You ain't gonna change that. To me, in my eyes, I only see one team improving, and that's VVV. I don't see anything changing in as far as like in the order of people teams winning. If anything, I see these teams going down further that were in MLG America. I mean, there's teams coming out of Europe that I don't even know about, but I'm sure they're not. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. Some teams are going to get their feelings hurt this coming next month, but that's all I wanted to say. Um, I'm glad you guys stuck around. That's my rant. Hopefully my computers get fixed, and I'm going to do some videos. And people say, well, why do you still play this game? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe I won't be playing much longer. I'm going to go and play poker or something else, or do some other games. I don't know what I'm going to do. But right now, I haven't even turned on my Call of Duty Xbox in 3 weeks. It's just not appealing to me. I might do like some older games, older Call of Duty 4 or something. But I hope you enjoyed this video, my little rants, tangent, mumbling, incoherent, whatever. Whatever you want to call it, I don't give a shit. Those are my perspectives, those are my opinions. I think it was fair and just to everybody. I'm a true Call of Duty fan. I appreciate everything about this game. Good and bad. I just wish that some more logical, uncompressed things were put into the game. And I think that, I mean, it was proven in the past that it works, and there's nothing wrong with that. Prove the graphics, different engine. we'll see. Keep you guys updated. Until next time, Puertas, peace, out.